this what people do? All of the big Pokemon collectors show off some of the product in the background to show that they're not lying about the things that they buy. I suppose I'll do the same thing starting this video. It's going to be a little bit of a different kind of video today. A lot of my videos, like the Pokemon market videos, I put on kind of like my teacher voice. I can't help it. I've been working with students for over 7 years, and that's just the way that it is. But I want to be able to make some videos from time to time that just feel a little bit more personal, that I try to just strip away the production of it and just have a conversation. So today I wanted to talk about the TikTok ban and how that is going to impact so many different businesses and how it's going to be impacting the Pokemon market, or at least the way that I think it's going to impact the Pokemon market. So if you haven't heard, about a week ago there was a big news announcement about how TikTok basically lost their last appeal, and that the ban is going to be going through in, early to mid-January. And when that news came out, I went to my Discord and I made a claim, and I asked everybody in the Discord what they think, but I made the claim that there's going to be a lot of streamers on TikTok who are going to slowly start trying to pivot into other platforms like YouTube and like whatnot. And within 3 or 4 days, I would say that prediction of mine kind of became true. If you know Collector's Cafe, he's a real big streamer on TikTok. If you're in the Pokemon space, you have probably seen him. You probably know his name. He made a couple videos. One was just like a video about being worried about what's going to end up happening to his business, and then he made a follow-up video about trying to switch over to whatnot, and he did pretty well. He made like $5,000 within one stream, so that transition worked out really, really well for him. I don't think that is going to be the case for everybody. I think there's a lot of people on TikTok who got into the Pokemon streaming and the Pokemon rip and ships, such as myself, that have under 1,000 followers, and who don't have distribution, who don't have as big as a following, as much of traffic, and as high as volume of sales. And I think that if this ban goes through, right, because it's still up in the air, but if it goes through, I think you're going to see a few things happen. One is, I think you're going to see some smaller streamers, such as myself, starting to fall out of the game, right? Like, I plan to keep going. That's my plan, but I do think that you're going to have some who try to pivot over to a different platform, and because of a lack of a following, they're not going to be able to make that pivot. They're not going to be able to make that transition. For me, somebody who has started to transition over to YouTube, I do kind of have the fortunate situation that I've had experience with YouTube for several years. In fact, some of my greatest successes have been on YouTube. So I'm familiar with the platform. I know how to make videos. I know how to target pretty well, I guess you could say. But I think there's a lot of people who probably are going to have a little bit more of a difficult time growing that audience. And it's a really unfortunate, sad thing, because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of families, a lot of husband and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, who have started a Pokemon business and have had such success with it on TikTok that it is now their livelihood. And they have a lot wrapped up into that business, as far as purchasing thousands of a month of product, you know, or $1,000 of product a month. And it's risky for them. And like, you know, Collector's Cafe, you can see how worried he is in that first video that he posted. And I can only imagine that that's the case for so many people. I am in a fortunate enough place that Pokemon is not my main gig. Right now, it still kind of acts as mostly a hobby. However, I have invested thousands of dollars now to where I do think a little bit more strategically about optimizing and making more of like a business and making it efficient to where it's, you know, great for the user, the buyer, and it's also working out for me as well. But yeah, you know, it's really sad that I think a lot of businesses are going to struggle here. But to be more of the optimistic side, it's either optimistic or it's not optimistic. I think that platforms like Whatnot and YouTube, Pokemon streams, are going to become much more competitive because you're going to see a lot of these people pivot over. And even if the TikTok ban doesn't go through, there's going to be this stigma around it now. And you're going to have some people who start to pivot over, and maybe the ban doesn't go through, but because they pivoted over, they created their own Shopify account where they're able to make a little bit more of their earnings, have a little bit more control over everything, that they'll end up sticking and they'll end up staying. So I think you're going to see an influx of Pokemon streamers on platforms like Whatnot and on platforms like YouTube. And it will become more competitive for the people who are already there and established. Because I don't think the virality of TikTok should be underestimated, right? Like the fact that Collector's Cafe was able to pivot over and do 5,000 within one stream on its first stream on Whatnot, that tells you something about people's willingness to go and follow a streamer to a different platform. And yeah, I think that it's just going to become more competitive on these other platforms. The other thing that I kind of anticipate here is I wouldn't be surprised if some numbers start to drop because of people falling out of the race. And what I mean by that is I have the personal belief that a lot of the product being bought right now is actually being bought by people like me who are streaming and then, you know, turning it around. And if that really is one of my, I can make a whole separate video about how I think, you know, part of the big Pokemon boom right now is, yes, the average consumer buying, but also the amount of streamers going in and purchasing that product. So if the number of streamers go down, I can imagine that the market will actually go down as well. I could be totally wrong about that. It really depends on how easily they transition over. So this was a long rant. I don't know if it made any sense at all, if it followed any track here. As far as like just giving you an update for me, I will continue to stream on both platforms until I can't. However, I really am. I'm loving the YouTube side. I hope that some of more of my TikTok peeps come over to the YouTube side. It is fun, but I will continue to stream on both until I can't anymore. And I don't plan on giving up, guys. This is fun for me. So, anyways, thanks for watching. This was a huge rant, and I hope it made some sense. Peace out.
Why is this picture so small? That was a terrible pun, I'm sorry. 14%, it's not nothing, that's pretty good. I'm not trying to act like I've been here forever.